Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. We got Fight, we got Juan, we got Martin, we got JK, we got another Juan, we got Cardinals Opinion, and Martin. What's up, y'all? Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Definitely do me a huge favor. Smack up the like button here on your way in. Ladies and gentlemen, we did get some breaking news, not for the Arizona Cardinals, but within the NFC West that we'll be diving into here pretty shortly. We do got some clips here from Arizona Sports. They got an exclusive interview here with Jonathan Gannon, and honestly, I thought it was an actually pretty darn good interview with a lot of questions that we might have here as Cardinal fans pertaining to, are the Cardinals going to go after a wide receiver, as well as, of course, the usual question of Kyler Murray. So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot to dive into today. Smack the like button here on your way in. If this is your first time here on X or Twitter, go ahead, consider shooting us a follow on X and Twitter, but mainly here on the YouTube family. Appreciate you guys for being here up and foremost. Let's have a good show. Now, let's go and get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, the OTAs are up and running. It started here this last Wednesday, and you're starting to see a lot of great, exciting things here on the social media platforms with, obviously, Kyler Murray throwing a 2K1. You're seeing a lot of cool pictures of Marvin Harrison Jr. jumping up high in the air and catching the ball. Like, it's getting us excited for what we all are longing for, which is football, right? NFL football is what we're really looking for. And of course, we're all Cardinal fans. We're all crazy to be in love with this team, but we all want success, right? Year 3 of Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, and Kyler Murray now going into his year 3 with them. There's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of expectations amongst this Arizona Cardinal fan base, as well as organization, to take that next step. And the next step is obviously going to be playoffs or finish a consistent matter here at the tail end of the season. Now, let's go and first start off here, ladies and gentlemen, with the breaking news. I have a very, very, very big question to ask you guys. How far does the needle move for you after the 49ers make a big move? Well, I guess breaking news if you want to go ahead and talk about it, because, I like to go ahead and sound the bell. So let's go and sound the bell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys did not know, there was some breaking news dropping here in the world of the NFL, and that is that the San Francisco 49ers are now making a trade for Bryce Huff. Now, the original report came out here from Adam Schefter, or at least the first, place that I ended up seeing it here was from Adam Schefter, and his report says this: ESPN sources, 49ers and Eagles are working to finalize a trade that will send edge rusher Bryce Huff to the San Francisco 49ers for a mid-round pick. The trade cannot and will not be processed until after June 1st. Both sides are working to make it happen, and Huff already has reworked his contract to help facilitate the trade. In San Francisco, Huff will be reunited with the 49ers DC, Robert Saleh, his former head coach with the Jets. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know here in the chat how much this needle move for you. If you're a 49er fan and you happen to jump on this stream, or if you're a Cardinal fan saying, I'm not worried about this one bit, let me know here in the comments below. But this is the latest breaking news that is affecting obviously the NFC West in its entirety, because if you really think about it, the San Francisco 49ers have lost so many big key pieces here in the 2025 offseason, heading into the 2025 season. And I've already seen some reports coming out there with Ricky Pearsall, which is supposed to be, I believe he was a late first-round pick a few years back, or a couple years back. He's hurt until training camp. Brandon Ayuk, there's more drama with their number one wide receiver, and Brandon Ayuk, right? There's that. And then there's some reports out there saying that CMC, Christian McCaffrey, does not look as explosive. So the 49ers, there might be a little bit of worriness that's coming up with the San Francisco 49ers as a whole for their team. I don't think they're the juggernaut they once used to be, right? They're not Super Bowl favorites anymore, at least in the NFC West. I think those NFC West favorites are probably going to be the Rams right now. And I know that kind of makes people's stomach hurt. Do we want to throw up a little bit internally? But let's call it like it is, right? The one team that's showing consistently year in and year out with their current quarterback state, with the current head coaching state, always proving to be contenders are the Rams, right? The Rams are that team. So it pains me to say that they're probably the favorites to win the NFC West, but I can't lie to you. The Cardinals could be a close second if they play their cards right and take advantage of their schedule in the first part of the season, because I understand it's going to be a juggernaut in the last part of the season, but it's a chance to stack up those wins here for the Arizona Cardinals. Hopefully, fingers crossed that happens. But the 49ers, man, the 49ers do not look to be like, I'm not worried about this move. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really not. Like, at one point when Bryce Huff ended up hitting the market as a top edge rusher, and I believe it was the year, was it the first year of Jonathan Gannon, if I'm not mistaken, or was it this last year, or the second year of Jonathan Gannon when we ended up going after Bilal Nichols? And I think that's what it was. I think it was the second year that Bryce Huff ended up hitting the open market, leaving the Jets, and he had a really good season with the Jets. But with the Eagles, he's not looked really good at all. I think he's been one of those big, highly coveted, paid guys that has really fallen, from the wayside because they gotten so much great talent from the draft, right? The Eagles know how to draft, like straight up. Like you can't really look at the Eagles draft classes and say, oh, they missed there. Like, especially in those first like couple rounds, they usually hit on their draft picks in the first, second, and third round. And that's one of the main reasons why they can move off of a guy like Bryce Huff. At one point, I wanted the Cardinals to go after him, but I'm kind of glad we didn't, because he got paid pretty decently to not produce to the level that he did with the Jets. So it's going to be a fascinating thing to see what he does with the San Francisco 49ers. But I don't know if this is going to be really one of those things that is a needle mover, right? I don't think it's going to be one of those things that's going to be a needle mover for me. I mean, did they get better? They did. They did. Right, they did. I mean, let's call it like it is. They did. The 49ers, like I said before, they lost a lot of talent this last offseason, a lot of talent. So them adding this player helps them, right? Helps them. Let me take a look at their defensive line right now. So Nick Bosa, obviously being their number one guy. They got Michael Williams, which is a draft pick, but D Winters is a linebacker. I apologize. Jordan Elliott. After him, Alfred Collins was another rookie this year. CJ West, which is another rookie this year. Gross Matos, which is a guy that is a veteran in his own right. So they needed to make a move. They needed to make a move. And they did. So bless their hearts, I guess. They called up the Eagles and said, hey, well, what do you want from them, right? And for what it's been reported, per Adam Schefter, right, looking at what we've seen a little earlier, it's said to be mid-round picks, right? We don't know what those mid-round picks are going to be. It could be a fourth rounder, it could be a fifth rounder, it could be a sixth rounder, right? It could be multiple fourths, it could be multiple fifths. We don't know, right? We don't know. But I do believe that the 49ers, for what it's worth, now I want to see the exact compensation in terms of what was actually provided to the Eagles for Bryce Huff, but I think they're worried, y'all. I think they're worried. I really do. I think they're worried to stay within the West. They were the bottom of the NFC West last year. Obviously, they went through so many different injuries, so I'm not going to fault them too much for that. But the Cardinals swept them last year, right? Every single day, both times we play the 49ers, we swept them. So they're trying to find their way to claw back within this NFC West race. Right now, there's a lot of unknown with Seattle. The Cardinals have done all the appropriate things to potentially make their way to potentially, fight for the West, but I still do think the Rams are the favorites right now. I don't know. I feel like the 49ers and the Seahawks right now, they're kind of in an unknown state as to what they could potentially be, right? So big news for the 49ers. I know they're going to find some sort of way to say, oh man, this is the best news since sliced bread. And honestly, looking at their depth chart, they do need a player like Bryce Huff. They do. Maybe he just didn't fit. I don't know. I mean, maybe there was just better players in the Eagles at that time. And let's call it like it is. Bryce Huff was not a playmaker for the Eagles in the Super Bowl at all. I mean, he might have had a couple plays here and there, but those rookies and those young guys were the really, really big staple point for those that Eagles defense. So makes sense. 49ers went out there and got themselves an edge rusher with some potential, but we just don't know exactly how it's going to transpire at the end of the day. So There's that. And then, of course, there's also the news of Jalen Ramsey. If you guys do not know, Jalen Ramsey has put in a couple tweets out there, a couple things indicating that, he loved every single spot that he's been in. But the rumor is that he's going to get traded, right? And I think there was a report that came out from Adam Schefter about maybe a week ago that within the next couple weeks, that he can definitely see Jalen Ramsey getting traded away from the Miami Dolphins. And guess what? The Miami Dolphins is also trading away what's their Jonas Smith, one of their tight ends. So I don't know what's happening in Miami. I have no clue what's happening in Miami. It's probably going to be a rebuild with their current quarterback state in Tua Tagovailoa. We don't exactly know what's happening over there, but they are moving off of pieces. And Jalen Ramsey has been, what's the word? Favorited to land with the Rams, right? To reunite back with the LA Rams. Do I want that to happen? Of course not. Of course not. We don't want that to happen here for the NFC West, but it definitely feels like the Jalen Ramsey saga is probably going to end with breaking news that he's going to land himself back with the LA Rams, because Sean McVay did say he's not going to close the door on it. He's not going to close the door on a reunion with Jalen Ramsey. It just makes too much sense. It makes absolutely just way too much sense for them to go after a player like Jalen Ramsey and bring him back for a potential another run at the Super Bowl. So I know there's some fans out there that want Jalen Ramsey. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm gonna be real. I really want to see what this Arizona Cardinals young secondary can do. I'm excited about Max Melton in year 2. I'm excited about Will Johnson gonna get an opportunity. I'm excited to see what year 3 of Garrett Williams is gonna be like. Year 2 of Garrett Williams was getting better. Imagine year 3, right? That's when they go, that next level, right? We all talk about from year 1 to year 2, but year 2 does good. Year 3 can potentially be a really even better jump for Garrett Williams. So a lot of excitement amongst there, and there's a lot of potential, right? With Elijah Jones, Starling Thomas the fifth, and we got a few different people as well, Denzel Burke as well. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what's going to happen here with the Arizona Cardinals moving forward in that cornerback room. But I'll pass. Like, I don't want him on the Rams, but I also don't want him here with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if it happens, of course, I will welcome him with open arms, but that only means that these young cornerbacks will get kind of, I'm not going to say left behind, but their development gets stunted, right? At the end of the day, their development gets stunted. And that's one thing that I don't want to see with these young cornerbacks. They got a lot of potential, man. Will Johnson, super excited about that. Max Melton, and of course, Garrett Williams, like we mentioned a little earlier, right? We got my guy Hector in the chat saying pass on Ramsey. I agree with that as well. Let's go ahead and take your comments. I did ask you guys how you feel about this Bryce Huff move. Do you feel like it moves the needle for you guys? Let's see what you guys have to say. Kevin in the chat says, it seems like a decent move. I would say 6 out of 10. Yeah, I agree. I think this is a move that makes sense for the 49ers, specifically because they lost a lot of key pieces on their defensive side of the ball, and they're going through a lot of unknown with their offensive side of the ball. We mentioned it a little earlier. Brandon Ayuk drama. Ricky Pearsall is hurt until training camp. Like, there's just a lot of unknown. The report that came out about CMC kind of lost a step. Like, there's a lot of unknown that's coming along with that whole situation. But it kind of leads us to ask the questions for ourselves, right? Are the Arizona Cardinals, right? Are the Arizona Cardinals in some sort of, like, are they going to make a big move, right? Are they going to make a big move? Like, that's the question that we got all going out coming for us, because we all know that looking at this roster, offensive side of the ball, it really wasn't addressed as much as I would have loved it to be addressed. I'm going to be real, right? I would have loved it to be addressed a lot better than it actually was. But we're going to be diving into here is there help coming at the wide receiving core? Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because if you guys do not know, Jonathan Gannon ended up speaking with Arizona Sports, which has done a fantastic job in terms of this specific interview. Like, this is a really good interview. If you haven't actually watched it, I highly recommend you going to the Arizona Sports YouTube page, and it's on there. It's the Jonathan Gannon and Burns and Gambo interview. Fantastic job. I think these questions that are asked, specifically 2 of them, that I'm going to go ahead and play for you guys as well. And obviously credit here to Arizona Sports and Burns and Gamble show. Like, this is where the audio is coming from. But one of the big questions that was asked was, do you feel like you need a slot wide receiver? Right? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. right? That's what we're going to talk about right now. Let me give a shout out here to again to credit goes to Burns and Gamble's Burns and Gamble of Arizona Sports. Let me go and play the clip and what they asked Jonathan Gannon yesterday on their exclusive interview if Jonathan Gannon feels like there should be some sort of help coming our way, or does he want to see a wide receiver coming to the Arizona Cardinals? And this is what Jonathan Gannon had to say.
Do you need to go out and get a veteran wide receiver? Would you like to have some more experience in that room?
Yeah, honestly, Gambo, no. We'll turn over every stone, though, to help our team. I feel really good about where that room is at with the guys that are coming back and the new guys added. I've never been afraid to play young guys that are a little more inexperienced than other guys. Does experience help you? Yes, it does. You know what I mean? But the way to get experience is time on task on the job. And what you see is if guys are truly trying to maximize themselves as football players, that can happen very quickly. And just because they're only a year in or 2 years in or 3 years in doesn't mean that they can't take a huge jump because they're getting clock.
Now, let's dive right into what Jonathan Gannon had to say. It doesn't sound like something's coming. I'm going to be real, right? I'm going to be real. I know there are some people out there that, when you're looking at these big national media outlets out there, they have a lot of mock suggestions, right? Oh, the Cardinals should add an Amari Cooper, right? Oh, the Arizona Cardinals should add a Keenan Allen, right? Those type of names that were, big names at one point, but are kind of nearing the end of their season. But the Arizona Cardinals right now in the state of the wide receiving core, sitting with Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, as well as Greg Dortch being the most likely number 1, number 2, and number 3 guys. The very valid question was asked, would you want to go after a wide receiver? The way Jonathan Gannon answered this, it definitely feels like we're going to go into 2025 with the current state of the wide receiving core, right? Now, if you're going to ask me right now, sitting on May the 30th, I do believe it's going to be Marvin, Wilson, and Dortch being the 1, 2, 3 guys, right? Slot being Greg Dortch. Who I would love to see is I would love to see Xavier Weaver get more of an opportunity, if I'm going to be real. Of course, you also have Zay Jones as well, which is another veteran wide receiver. But it definitely feels like the 1, 2, 3 guys are going to be Marv, Wilson, and Dortch. So now we also did hear Jonathan Gannon say they're going to turn over every stone. But I mean, we've kind of been hearing that since the tenure of Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort, right? They're going to cast a wide net. They're going to turn over every stone. But I don't know, just the way that he described opportunities for year 2 guys, potentially year 3 guys, it almost feels like there's probably not going to be a move coming for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, obviously, the end-all be-all is probably going to be the front office with Monty Ossenfort, and Jonathan Gannon can give his, own opinion if he feels like there is some sort of need. But I don't know, the way he was talking, and specifically when he says, I was never afraid to play young guys, we might be seeing maybe a split share with Dortch and Weaver, or a split share with Dortch and Zay Jones, right? Now, Zay Jones last year, when we ended up bringing him into the Arizona Cardinals, he really didn't do very much. Now, granted, he was suspended for the first 5 games, so I will give him some sort of slack for that. But Zay Jones, I don't know, man. There's something about, I don't know, I personally would love to see Weaver. I would personally love to see Weaver get a real fair crack of an opportunity, but I do think Greg Dortch will beat him out. I think Greg Dortch is going to be that number 3 guy in the slot. And, for as much as praise as I've given Greg Dortch, I guess I'm okay with it, but I don't know, man. I'm looking for the longevity, man. I'm looking for the longevity. It doesn't really feel like the Cardinals ever want to commit to Dortch for long term. And that's the reason why I keep talking about, okay, well, what's the future, right? What's the future going to look like for the Arizona Cardinals? Because every time we bring Greg Dortch back, it's on a 1-year deal. And of course, as a player, you'll take any deal you can, right? Especially when you're not seen as a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, right? So Greg Dortch is most likely going to get his opportunity to potentially be that number 3 guy. But as of right now, it's obvious the Cardinals don't want to commit to him long term, right? Long term. So that's kind of why I really would love to see the opportunity of an Xavier Weaver kind of come out and show out. Now, we did add players like Quez Watkins. We also did add players like Simi Fehoko, Tajon Palmer, which was a late round pick last year in 2024. And then you also got Bryson Green, which is a UDFA as well. Tristan Jackson, which is a guy that we got during the same time we got Quez Watkins. None of those guys are really needle movers. I'm going to be real. None of those guys are real needle movers for me as an Arizona Cardinal fan. But of course, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to say, okay, right? If Jonathan Gannon truly believes in this wide receiving core, all I can step back and say, okay, let's give these guys the opportunity to come out here and shine, because I don't think there's help coming. I really don't. I don't think there's going to be help coming. I think it's going to be Marv, Wilson, and Dortch. And like we mentioned before, we just listened to the clip of Jonathan Gannon on the Burns and Gamble show on Arizona Sports, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting a Keenan. It doesn't seem like we're going to be getting an Amari. It doesn't seem like the Cardinals are going to go after any other wide receiver that's currently out there right now. I think they're going to keep it in-house, and they're going to have a true competition at wide receiver. So for the people out there that wanted the Cardinals to do something, right, and is still having some sort of hope, I just don't think it's going to happen. But let's see. Let's see what Jonathan Gannon can do, right? I do have all the faith in the world in this coaching staff. I think they can get it done. It's just big questions out there, right? Are we finally going to take the jump? Are we going to finally take the plunge and make it into the postseason? Well, we've been waiting a very long time for a postseason run. Let's see and hope that this can finally be the year that the Cardinals finally get it right. Let's go ahead and take it to the comments here. We got some people saying no. Well, there's some people out here saying that we signed Jalen. No, we have not signed Jalen Ramsey. Rumor is that Jalen Ramsey most likely will reunite with the Rams, is the rumor out there. There's also a rumor that he might be going to the Cowboys. They're all rumors. They're all speculations, right? I don't think the Cardinals are in on it. I really don't. If I'm going to put my own best 2 cents and my own best guess, I think they're going to allow these young core to develop and hopefully blossom into what we need the secondary to be, with obviously your veterans back there with JT as well as Budda Baker. But no. Jalen's not coming, but the 49ers did make a move today, for what it's worth. 49ers did make a move today, and they ended up bringing in edge rusher Bryce Huff for mid-round picks. We don't know exactly what those mid-round picks are, but they're trying. they're trying to get better and better. So for what it's worth, there's that. Now, let's move on over to the next topic, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Gannon's thoughts on K1. Now, you're going to be sitting here, right? People in the chat, people that are watching this on a replay, you're probably going to go on to the comments running, why do we always talk about Kyler Murray? Why do we always talk about Kyler Murray? Well, one of the biggest reasons why is that this is a big year. This is a massive year for K1. It is. It's a massive year for Drew Petzing. It's a massive year for the Cardinals organization in a nutshell, right? And of course, when you play like an MVP, you get the flowers as an MVP, right? You are the guy everybody talks about when you have a winning team. Just like when we were 6-4 going into the bye week, everybody was talking about K1 in his coming back to MVP form, right? That's the reason why we talk about him. He's a quarterback. He's quarterback one right now. In this roster, he's quarterback one. That's why we talk about it week in and week out, because it's a big topic, big year. So let's talk about what Jonathan Gannon's thoughts on the latest exclusive Arizona Sports on Burns and Gambo, what his thoughts on Kyler Murray was. Now, I want to be very clear. The media right now, they all feel the same way, it feels like. It feels like this is not just coming from me as a Cardinal fan. I feel like a lot of the media right now is in the state of this is put up or shut up year, right? This is make or break year, right? And just listen the way that the question is asked, right? You can tell. Listen to the way the question is asked. But going back again, credit goes over to Arizona Sports on the Burns and Gamble show. Let's go and dive right into what Jonathan Gannon's latest thoughts on Kyler Murray and what he expects this year.
Been steadfast in your belief that Kyler Murray's an elite quarterback.
Uh-huh.
We've been waiting 7-8 years to try to get him over the hump, get him that first playoff win that he doesn't have. What does he need to do differently? I mean, outside of the surroundings and the team being better and all of that stuff, I get that. What jump do you want to see him make?
I think play to his level consistently.
Yep.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And because when he plays to his level, it's elite. I firmly believe that.
But it's not enough right now, right?
No, I think it is enough when he plays to his level. I think what I'm looking for him of 17 games plus however many more is, can you play at that level all the time? And it takes physical stamina, it takes mental stamina, it takes competitive stamina, I call it, which he has all that. So he has another go at it this year, and I want to see it. And
where is he? How close is he? Is he missing it by 3, 4, 5, 6 games?
I think he's pretty close.
You think he's really close to being consistent week in, week out?
I do.
So I don't know if you caught it the same way, right? But the radio host that was asking was John Gambadoro, which to his own right is actually fantastic media personality, or at least to me, in my personal opinion. Of course, opinions could matter, but usually when he reports or he puts out tweets, usually people listen because he usually gets it right. But when you can tell that the question that was asked to Jonathan Gannon was kind of phrased in a way of, okay, well, because he started off, right? Well, the expectations weren't there. We're going into year 7 or 8, which technically it's actually year 7 of Kyler Murray, but we still haven't hit that playoff win, right? We had a playoff berth. We probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs and how bad that game was, but you can kind of tell that the media is kind of dancing around like, hey, when is it time to push that eject button, right? Like, what do you need to see out of him before we're talking about, oh, should we be extending Kyler? Because right now, I don't think anybody's even talking about, oh, man, we should be making an extension to Kyler Murray. No, not at all. Right now, I think most people are saying this is a make or break year, or this is a big year for Kyler, right? Those are the two things that we're hearing amongst this Arizona Cardinal fan base right now, right? And you can tell the way that he was asking this question, he really wanted to get a real for sure answer. And Jonathan Gannon came out and says that when Kyler Murray is playing elites, right, to the level and competitive nature that he does, he can be an elite quarterback. But one thing that he also did mention is the consistency, right? The consistency of the play of Kyler Murray. Now, who's mentioned the consistency before, right? Who's talked about the consistency of Kyler Murray before this was even a thing or even a word? Yeah, right. Yeah. People on this channel, right? People on this community here that has been talking about for years of, we want to start seeing him play in a consistent manner, right? Because when we were 6-4, after the first time we played the Los Angeles Rams and we started off the season 1-1 after losing to the Bills, that was, oh my God, what the heck did we just see? You saw Kyler Murray make plays that, oh my God, you can only dream of, that things that you can only do on Madden if you're a top 10, top 100 player, right? Like, that's the type of stuff that Kyler Murray is able to do, but very, 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 very spotty, right? Very spotty. If we can get that type of Kyler Murray consistently, I don't think anybody would have the questions that they have right now. The big problem is that we're not seeing that consistently, right? Now, the question he kept re-emphasizing, are you sure you can see? Are you sure you're confident that you're going to be seeing that from Kyler Murray? Jonathan Gannon has all the faith in the world, or at least coach talk has all the faith in the world that Kyler Murray can finally get the job done, right? Consistently, because we need to see it 17 games. We need to see it when the lights are the brightest in November and December. That's playoff football. That's as close as playoff football as you're going to get, especially if you don't make it to the postseason in January, right? So I do like the way that Jonathan Gannon actually answered this question, because imagine Jonathan Gannon falling into the bait of, oh man, he needs to work on this. Then the narrative would have been spun completely different ways, right? Jonathan Gannon is 110% backing his QB right now. And that's the thing. If you're Kyler Murray, you should be praying to the God sends and what was brought to you, right? Jonathan Gannon truly believes in Kyler. He does. He does. Whether it's as a person, as a player, or as a QB, I don't care. He believes in him. He does. Now, is the contract one of those things that are looming over the head of the Arizona Cardinals organization? Yeah, I mean, some might say that the contract has something to do with why we haven't moved off of Kyler, specifically because you haven't had a lot of success on paper with current quarterback 1 right now. But he believes in him. He believes in him. We're going into year 3. There has been slight adjustments, slight moves made from the offense. the only thing that we can hope for right now as a Cardinal fan base, right, is that we can finally put to bed of who's going to be quarterback one leaving the 2025 season. I don't want to have these questions anymore, right? I don't want to have these questions anymore. And I've said this once and I say it again. I know there was a whole big hoopla of Kyler Murray was ranked 15. Kyler Murray was ranked 15. He was ranked in the mids on PFF rankings on QBs. I don't care about rankings anymore. That's where I've gotten as a Cardinal fan. I don't care. I can give two toots on where Kyler Murray is ranked. I don't care. I don't care where Kyler Murray is ranked. It's time to prove it, right? And I know there was a list that was floating out there that actually had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May in front of Kyler Murray. That list might have been a little outlandish, and I'll give you that. But I'm not going to come out here and make a big deal out of somebody's opinion. At the end of the day, it's somebody's opinion, right? They made a really cool graphic. They put on a list out there, but I'm tired of the rankings. I truly am. I'm tired of the rankings. It's time to actually come out here and show why you got paid the way you did several years back when Steve Keim was here, right? And Kyler Murray knows that. Kyler Murray is fully aware that this is a big year for him as well. He did come out and says he wants to start running more. Well, great. Heck yeah. I'm excited about it. Heck yeah. That can open up this offense so much more if he uses his legs more, right? If Kyler Murray uses his legs, that's what makes Kyler Murray dynamic, right? If he's only set to stay in the pocket, that's not a recipe for success for what he can do. So rankings, I can care less. I really can. I don't care that he's ranked number 16, number 18. I can care less. It's time to show it. It's time to show and prove why they Cardinals paid you. And he knows it, right? I'm not going to come out here and say Kyler Murray's oblivious because Kyler Murray made his rounds, right? Kyler Murray made his rounds when there was a whole softball situation, right? He was getting ready for his softball charity event. He made his rounds to all the medias out there, right? A lot of exclusive interviews for everybody. And he mentioned the fact that he knows, he understands it. His expectations is higher than what your expectations are or what my expectations are for him. Well, I'm glad, right? I'm glad you're not oblivious to what people are out there truly feeling about the current state of the quarterback. And I've seen multiple comments out there. saying the future isn't bright as long as he's our quarterback. Well, I mean, I personally don't think that's true. I think the potential is always going to be there when you have a quarterback like Kyler Murray, but it's time to be consistent, right? It's time to now make it to the next level. This is the best team Kyler Murray has had, bar none, probably ever. Now, offensively, he could probably use another weapon. But if Jonathan Gannon truly believes that he can be there, okay, then okay. Let's see what he can do with Dort. Let's see what he can do with Marv. Let's see what he can do with Wilson, right? Now, a lot of teams don't have themselves Trey McBride. So we got that for what's going for us, right? We got a really good, reliable, big body guy that plays tight end for the Arizona Cardinals and Trey McBride. At one point, for a couple days, he was the highest paid tight end in the NFL. Not anymore, but he was at one point. So a lot of teams don't have a Trey McBride. So for what it's worth, Gannon believes on his QB. I'm happy about it. I'm cool with it. Imagine the alternative, right? It wouldn't have been a good alternative if he answered the question a little differently. But he believes it. Let's see what happens. Let's move on over to the comments. Let's see what you guys are having to say here. We got my guy Randall in the chat saying, if Petzing is the OC, I'm not sure this offense will be much different than last year. I'm worried about the passing game still. Well, if Petzing should be equally as worried as Kyler should be. Let's just put it that way, right? Petzing should be equally as worried as Kyler should be. 100%. 100%. There is tweaks that are made with the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. Are we still going to be a run-heavy offense? Probably, right? Probably. But one thing the Cardinals did not have very much of last year was those big explosive chunk plays. We didn't have a lot of those, right? A lot of them were dink and dunk. A lot of them were, let me pass it off to the running back. A lot of them were, oh, snap, this thing broke down. Let's see if we can make a play. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, right? So Petzing has got a big year in front of him as well. So it's not just, oh, it's Kyler Murray. No, Petting's got a big year for him as well. So a lot of people are going to be staring at this offense to say, okay, here it is. We're going into year 3. To me, personally, I would feel a little bit more confident if we had another wideout, but they think they're fine. So, okay, cool. We can bring back Dennis Gardeck. I don't even think we even need Dennis Gardeck back anymore. Like, honestly, I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be fine on the defensive side of the ball. I really do. And I'm not just kind of blowing smoke. I think the Arizona Cardinals defensive line, as long as they get healthy, is going to be a really good defensive line. Let me just paint a picture real quick on just the defensive linemen just in general, right? Just the defensive linemen that we got. Josh Sweat, Walter Nolan, Dalvin Tomlinson, Baron Browning, Xavier Thomas, Darius Robinson, Calais Campbell, Zaven Collins, B.J. Ojolari, Dante Stills, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, right? Now, some of those guys are depth guys more than anything, but like if you're talking about what's going to be your starting defensive lineman, your starting defensive lineman is probably going to be Josh Sweat, Darius Robinson, and let's see who we got here. Calais Campbell, and maybe B.J. Ojolari. Those might be your top guy starters, right? Of course, there's going to be a swing. There's going to be a defensive by committee type of situation. But, I mean, that's a big upgrade. A big upgrade. So I don't think we even need Dennis Gardeck, if I'm going to be real. Wide receiver, on the other hand, I would love the Arizona Cardinals to go up for. But, I mean, of course, it's not my choice. Martin in the chat says 12-5. Love to see it. Love to see it. Robert in the chat says, Martin, I agree. Add NFC West champs. Well, if you want the NFC West, you got to win more than 11 games. I don't think the 10 is going to do it for you anymore. I don't think the 10 is going to do it for you anymore at all. I think you got to win 11 games this year if you're truly I think you got to win more than 11 games this year to truly want to go for the West. So if your prediction is correct, Martin, if you think it's 12-5, I think that can definitely very well be a real possibility to win the West if the Cardinals actually get there, right? If the Cardinals actually get there. So, yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's take it to the comments here. Larry in the chat. Weaver gets touches this year. I hope so. We only saw Weaver the game that Marv got hurt. That's the only time we saw Weaver, unfortunately. Hopefully this is more of a better year. But I think the start of the season is probably going to be Dortch, if I'm going to be real. I think Dortch is probably going to win the job at the slot position until maybe there's a split share. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. It is, you have to take advantage of your opportunities, though. You really do. You got to take advantage of your opportunities. Lay in the chat says, K1, go win the game. Be passing or running, but go win games. He's as big as mismatch as any mobile quarterback can be in the league. Agree? Eddie in the chat says, Murray doesn't like to run up the middle, even when it's wide open. He's too focused on not getting hit instead of making plays. You're not the first one who's mentioned that he does not throw up the middle. Let's see what happens. Let's see what Adrian says. K1 is like Joel Embiid of the NBA. They have all the skills to be top 5, 10, carry their franchise, but they're just not consistent, or they don't know how to utilize their own skills. Ooh, that's good. Look at you. That's good. That's actually pretty darn good. Joel Embiid can be a monster. He does have a lot of injuries plague his career as well. Joel Embiid has a lot of injuries plaguing his career as well. So for what it's worth, I mean, that's pretty solid right there. But I mean, we're only going to go as far as Kyler's going to take us. We're only going to go as far as Kyler can take us. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's read a couple more comments, and we're going to be closing up shop. Appreciate you guys for being here. Actually, I have a big question. For all the people here on the YouTube side, or actually on the X and Twitter side as well. I don't want to forget you guys as well. What do you because we're going to be doing a lot more live streams. And I had somebody reach out to me and said, hey, man, I missed your content. There's not really much to talk about right now. There really isn't. other than speculations, other than things that happen within the NFC West, of course, when news happens, you know, I'll make content about it. But what do you guys like more? Like, what type of content do you guys like? Do you guys like the live streams? Do you guys like the regular video formats? Do you guys like short content? Let me know here in the comments. Or do you like all of them? Let me know in the comments below. I'm super curious to figure out what your guys' overall thoughts are on, because we are going to be expanding a little bit more with short form content this year as well. So I'm just kind of curious. Let me know here in the chat what your guys' overall thoughts. We're going to read a couple comments and we're going to be closing up shop. Appreciate y'all for being here. Do you think we're going to get a wide receiver before the season? We talked about this a little earlier in the stream. Right now, sitting on May 30th, I don't think so. I don't think the plan is that the Cardinals are going to go after a wide receiver, unfortunately. Would I want them to? Yes, I do. I don't think they're going to. Unless something happens in the rest of the OTAs or when training camp comes around, I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm going to be real. The way that Jonathan Gannon answered the question on the latest Burns and Gambo show, I just don't think it's going to happen, if I'm going to be real. I want it to happen, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Juan in the chat says, oh, okay, perfect. So there's not specifically, I just like the live streams. I just like the videos. I just like the shorts, right? Okay, so, okay. Now, granted, I would love, especially the people watching this on a playback as well, I would love to get yours' opinion as well, because, yeah, I want to see where we focus on, or if we just continue to rock with every single one of it, because live streams is where we really start engaging with you guys, right? Because I'm going to be real, when you're putting a video out there and everybody's putting comments, I don't get notifications with that. Or even when I respond with a question, I don't get a notification that you responded, right? So this is the best way to interact with the community here with these live streams, right? And of course, the short form content, it gives you exactly what it is. The 1 minute, 2 minute kind of take, boom, right there. And of course, your videos that we got as well. So, okay. Martin in the chat says all of them as well. Robert says love. Okay. All. Okay. Can't wait to football start. I agree. JG is really high on Weaver. Doubt he wants to add a receiver. This is the fishbowl. I agree. So let me do this, right? Before we close up shop, Jonathan Gannon was on an interview with Burns and Gambo. And I know there's more people joining in here. And for the new people that are joining in, do me a huge favor. Smack the like button if you guys can do me that huge favor. Smack up the like button here on your way in. We will be closing up shop. But just listen into what Jonathan Gannon had to say about potentially adding a wide receiver, to this roster, because that question was asked. And this is what Jonathan Gannon had to say. Of course, credit goes over to Burns and Gambo on Arizona Sports. But just listen in.
Do you need to go out and get a veteran wide receiver? Would you like to have some more experience in that room?
Yeah, honestly, Gambo, no. We'll turn over every stone, though, to help our team. I feel really good about where that room is at with the guys that are coming back and the new guys added. That
we don't need to. We don't need to listen to the whole thing, right? We don't need to listen to the whole thing. He just said it. To be honest with you, no. So like, it's one of those things, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those things. Like, he straight up said, I don't think we do. So, do I think the Cardinals will add a wide receiver? I don't think so, man. Unless something happens injury-wise, which obviously, knock on wood, knock on every single wood you can find in your house right now. But unless something like that happens, I think Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing have the confidence in the world in the current state that they got right now. Will we see a little bit more Zay Weaver? I hope so, right? Will we see a little bit more of Zay Jones? Maybe. Or Xavier Weaver. Sometimes I call Xavier guy Zay. That's on me. My bad. Xavier Weaver or Zay Jones? Maybe, right? Is Quez Watkins going to be, a guy that could do something? Maybe. Tristan Jackson, Tajon Palmer, right? Guys that, a lot of people aren't really thinking about right now. But even Jonathan Gannon on that same interview said, you could have a really bad year 1 and year 2, or okay year 1 and year 2, and then you skyrocket in year 2 or year 3, right? You never know. It's all based off opportunity. And that's what they're looking for. Guys that take advantage of their opportunities. So, let's see what happens. Leia in the chat says, Palmer making a push this year? I doubt it. I'm going to be real. I think seeing Xavier Weaver get an opportunity when Marvin went down, it tells me that they have more confidence in Xavier Weaver than they do in their late round pick. And I was really high on Xavier Weaver. I'm surprised he went undrafted. I'm glad the Cardinals got him, but he might make practice squad if I'm going to be real. And I'm talking about Tajon Palmer. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's do one more comment, and then we're going to be closing up shop. One more comment, and we're going to be closing up shop, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all. Smack the like button here on your way out. Appreciate y'all for being here. We got Randall coming up saying K1 and Marvin Harrison Jr. need to have that chemistry down 100%. No more overthrown balls on wrong routes, and as long as Petzing can draw up better passing plays and involve Marvin Harrison Jr. more, the sky's the limit for us. Love to hear it. Love to hear it, ladies and gentlemen, because I agree 110% here what my guy Randall is saying. The miscommunications, it's okay to have them, but you have to have a whole of a hell lot less of those miscommunications this year, right? There's going to be a game or two. You're not going to have everything 100% down, but you really can't look as bad as they used to in a couple different routes, right? Like they were thinking, somebody was thinking apples and the other one was thinking oranges. Like that's how bad the miscommunication was between them. That needs to be cleaned up. 110%. That needs to be cleaned up this year. Let's see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. We're going to be closing up shop here. Do me a huge favor. Smack up the like button on your way out. Subscribe if this is your first time here. We are on the road to 17K. Cannot do it without you guys. We will be having content sprinkled out throughout the months of June and July. But of course, once training camp comes around in July, once training camp comes, and preseason comes in August, we're going full force, ladies and gentlemen, full force, talking everything's Arizona Cardinals and Arizona Cardinal football. I'm really, really excited about it. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thanks for rocking with me up and foremost. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.